Hello everyone, this is Chris from O'Craig, and I'm back with another video of tips and tricks for the EP-133. So, I hope you find this useful. If you have any questions, please ask them down in the comments, and feel free to share any tips and tricks that you found. We can all learn together. Also, if you'd like to ask any questions, there's now a Discord server associated with the channel. You can find a link in the description. Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to talk about is loop mode. I think it's really cool. I think there's much more to it than I initially thought there was, and I'm still finding stuff out. So we can enter it by pressing Shift and Loop, and that'll enter the loop mode. Now, when you're doing this, depending on how long you hold the tempo button when you're entering loop mode, it'll dictate how long the initial buffer will be. So let's show you what that means. If I hold it down, you can see that the loop is longer, and I can change the position of the loop, and I can also change the length of the loop, right? I can also change the position using the plus and minus, and I can do it, I think, more granularly. Oh no, you can't. So you can do it more granularly if you do Shift and plus and minus. So it's similar to this, but it's a bit more precise. But you can move a bigger step and a smaller step. Now, when you're exiting loop mode, if you press main, it'll immediately exit, and doesn't matter where you are in the bar, it'll just come straight back in. But if we press tempo to exit it, it'll exit at the end of the bar, which is really nice. So that's a useful thing. So just to reiterate, when you're going into it, if you hold it longer, then you'll make a longer initial loop. See? So if you hold that down, that's a very nice thing. Another thing as well, you can also use, don't know why I didn't realize this, but you can use FX in loop mode just fine, but I didn't realize that for a while. If only we could sample from the loop buffer, that would be great, but hopefully that'll be added in a future update. Okay, the next thing, so that's loop mode. I think it's got some nice features. I bet there's more stuff to it that I've still not found. So plus and minus to do maybe more control over how you're changing the position in the loop buffer. Holding down when you're going into loop mode, hold down the button to make it longer for the initial buffer. That's in the manual, but I just noticed it the other day. And then you can use effects still when you're in loop mode again. I don't know why I didn't realize that before. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is syncing to the tempo to external audio. Now, I have the OPZ here and a little drum loop, right? I'm going to slow it down to 90 beats per minute. And let's say that I want to sync these up. Now, how would I go about that? Well, if I press sample and tempo and hold it, it'll detect the tempo of the external audio. So let's try that and see if it links up. So yep, it syncs up very nicely there, right? Let's increase the tempo of this to 135. And then if we do the same thing again, right? Sample plus tempo, 135. So now they're synced up. Okay, so that's pretty handy. It's kind of an ad hoc way of syncing up your audio with an external piece of gear or something like this. So this is nice. Again, it's spur of the moment. You can sync up without having a MIDI cable or anything like that. Or if you're sampling something and your whole song revolves around that sample, you can make sure that the BPM is synced to start with. Now, it works very nicely on clean sort of drum loops like that. I don't know if it would work quite as nicely in something where there's a bit more going on, but it's worked every time I've tried it. So, give it a go and see if it works for you. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to mention is chop mode. Now, chop mode is part of the basic functionality, but I keep on forgetting the ways that you can use this. So again, I thought it would be worth mentioning this. So I'm going to go into sound mode, and then I'm going to load up sound 995 on this. And it is that same drum loop again. And I want to chop it up to use it for something else. So again, it's selected. You can see it up here. I'm going to go into sample, into chop mode, sorry, by pressing shift and then sample. And you can hear it play through. And then you can see everything's flashing here. Now, the kind of, maybe the most convenient way is you can press and hold, it'll start playing the sample, and then you can press and hold where you want it to go, where it sends particular bits. So now we've got this. Okay, just as you'd expect. Now as well, we can undo on this because we've just overwritten something that we had there. The samples won't be gone that were there in those pads before, but we have overwritten them and we might not want to do that. So we can do shift and undo, and then it'll be back to the way that it was before. And you can hear that I've got that loop there from earlier. The other way that you can chop up the sample is, let's go back into sound mode. It's still on 995, and then we go into chop mode. And if we press one of these banks like D, we can say a number of slices that we want it to be chopped up into. So I could say, for example, 8 slices. And then if I do sample, then now there's a lot of reverb on this channel. And then you've got all these individual samples. And you can actually go in there and tweak and tune the start and end points, for example, of them. If we go into the sound edit menu, we could say like trim here to change the start and end points if we wanted to mess around with that. But let's do undo again. Oh no, I've overwritten it. Okay, well, this is on lock mode. See my previous video if you want to know how to put it into that mode. So I won't have messed up my song, which I'm still working on. Okay, anyway, so that's one thing you do. The next thing I want to do is talk about copy and paste. So again, this is in the manual, but I keep on forgetting about this, so I thought it would be worth mentioning again. So in sound mode, for example, you can actually you can copy and paste individual samples. You can put them somewhere else, so you can modify them. So if I do shift and then this up arrow on C, then it's copied this pad. And then if I say over here and then I press D, shift and D, that'll put it down. So you can hear it's copied it over. And then of course I could pitch this up, make it louder, so then I can modify it. The original sample isn't edited. So if you went and put in, so if I went here and then just went 995, it's just the same sample. So you've still got it there. It's non-destructive, right? So you can go and chop up. And for example, this would be nice for, let's see an example here where if we go and say, let's load this up as just a kick drum. Let's pick a nice one. Right, and then we go, and then we say, we copy that one and we paste it. Now we've got 3, and we could maybe turn them into kind of tom sounds by pitching them up a bit. So you can see there, you can easily copy them about and do stuff. So that's the first thing that you can copy. You can actually copy the whole layout of pads. So if we go here, let's say that I want to copy this over. If I do shift and then up and then again, it'll say group. And if I go to D and then I go paste, it'll paste the group. And you can see that it's taken all of the samples from group C and put them onto group D. So again, you can copy them across and do various different things. The other ways that you can use copy and paste, or at least the ones that all the ones that I know about, are to do with patterns. So you can copy and paste patterns, or you can copy and paste bars. So let's see. Right, let's do this one, because we've got this. So we've got this little sort of fill in it, which is in the second bar. So let's go to the second bar and let's just make 2 copies of this now. So we can press shift and then copy, and we can copy this bar. So this is bar 2 that we've copied. And if we go back to the beginning and then we do shift and then D, we'll paste the bar. And now, so you can hear that it's just repeating over and over again. The other thing that we can do is we can copy the whole pattern. So if we go shift and then up and then again, it'll do the pattern. And we've copied that whole pattern for A, the currently active pattern. And then, so say that we went to a different scene and then we wanted to paste this in. We can paste it down like that. I don't know of any other ways that you can use copy and paste. That's the main ones that I've kind of come across. So copying bars and copying patterns, copying samples across and changing things. But if you know any other ways that you can use it, like again, please let me know. Okay. The next thing I'll show you is that there is time signature. You can define the time signature of a song. So let's go to, if I go to project number 8, this song is in 5/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can hear this is in 5/4, and this is an interesting time signature. It's actually relatively, for this sort of compound time signatures, it's more common. There's a very famous, of course, Take 5 by Dave Brubeck, or 15 Steps by Radiohead, or God, I imagine there's like a endless amount of math rock songs and things like this that are in 5/4. But it's actually, you know, it's quite musical and relatively easy to use, and it's fun to mess around with. It's got this kind of staggered kind of rhythm about it, which is lots of fun. If you want to do something in 5/4, if you do main and tempo, then you'll go into this time signature. You can define time signature. Let's go into another project first and do this. And if we do this, we go into, so it's starting off in 4/4, and I can change the, I don't know what it is called actually, the numerator and the denominator as far as I'm aware. Well, like if it was a fraction, that's what you would call it. But you can change the top, which is the number of beats that you'll have in the bar. And then this is the divisions that you would have. So you can have, for example, 7/8 here, or 9/8 you could have. So let's go back here. And what you can see has happened here is that it's got 9 divisions, and then it's divided by 8, and it ends up being 2. I don't know why it does this. Sometimes when it says 9/8, it doesn't have 8 divisions there. It only has 2. And I think that might be to do with the resolution of the pattern. I'm not entirely sure why that is. But for example, if we go down to, say, 2/2, I actually don't think that it does that. See, it does 8 there. Maybe that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, if you want to do this, then that's just be aware of that. It has that strange quirk, but I think it might be to do with the resolution of the sequencer or something like this. Anyway, so you can do 2/2 and you can do 3/4 time, so you can have like a kind of waltzy type feel to it. Yeah, and this is quite a fun thing. Like I said, you can get some interesting rhythms with it. So that's good fun. So that's you can edit this in the tempo mode. Right. The next thing that I want to talk about is well, let's talk about some features of the sequencer first before I move on. So we can hear there's. Let's get something maybe a little bit simpler. Right, go back here. Okay, so this one I'll do. Now you can, I didn't use the sort of step sequencer version of it. I was mainly recording live, and actually it's quite fun entering it like this. It's quite fast as well. So the first thing I'll notice, I'll point out, is that you can actually nudge the notes. So if you press Shift and then the track that you're on, and then change it, like so, what I'm doing is I'm moving where that is, that kick. So if I do this, so you notice that it's sort of staggered now, and that's because I've moved it from this first onto the second, the E, the 1E, and the E part of the beat. So I can move it back as well if I want. If I do Shift and then hold the track again, put it back, and it's back to normal. You can also do some other things for modifying the steps. So for example, if I do Shift and then I do, so there's here's the snare, and if we do Shift and then we'll hold down the snare this time, and we can change the velocity. We can make that very quiet on that step. Hopefully you can hear. And let's go into this one, and then we'll stop. The other thing is that the black knob in that mode does the duration. So let's put a note on this first beat here. So we can just record on that step by pressing the one we want. Okay, this doesn't sound great, but I'm just using it as an example. Again, we can change the velocity, but we can also change the duration. So hopefully you can hear that that's got a longer velocity, and let's make it have a very short. That's actually very hard to tell with that sample. This one will work perfectly. So let's erase these ones on here and put this one on the first one. So let's record that again, and then we're going to set the duration to be quite long. So you can see here. You can also change the velocity down again, or we can make it very short. So hopefully you can hear it there. It was quite quiet. But yeah, this is nice. You can go in and you can modify things in the step sequencer relatively easily. And so I've been using it more and more. I think that it's actually quite a fun way to sequence on this. Although I do find myself recording live more because I like using the pads more than anything. But yeah, that's another thing you can do. Okay, so the last thing I'd like to mention is kind of boring, but again, useful, and that's erase. And there's lots of ways you can use erase mode, right? You can erase things. So as I was talking previously about the step sequencer, you can just go into any step. And so say, look, these are both lit up here. If I press erase, get rid of it, and then it's no longer on that step. So it's missing from that first one. Right, or we could go to this track and delete this annoying noise that I put over the top. So you can do it like that. You can also, if you were doing this, you could get rid of all of them by doing erase and then holding it down, and it'll flash track, and it'll get rid of this, and all the kicks will be gone. And of course, you can undo this by using the little umbrella symbols there. You can also do multiple at a time, so you could do two like this. And then of course you can also do this when it's live recording. You can press hold erase and erase whatever you're wanting to. And the same is true with the group. You can do it too, but the group, you can't seem to undo it with the group. I don't know if, I mean, I've noticed this, but you know, I don't know if it's just me. Anyway, so let's make a copy of this, and I'll show you the other things that you can erase. So I'm going to record, let's say, for example, this. I'm going to, another thing about the step sequencer that I didn't mention. So let's go into pitch this time. And we'll go into here. And we can go into here and we can record, oops, let's put it into pitch again. We can record specifically on this step where we change. We can change what the pitch is. Put it down. Put it up. And then we can put it back to normal. So you can hear that you can step sequence the fader parameter log, which is really nice. Another thing that you can erase, of course, is fader parameter log. So you see this little button here, that means that it's got the fader's been adjusted. And if we do this and we press erase, we can delete all of the fader automation. And this is nice because very often you'll end up messing this up when you're playing and you want to just get it back. So that's essentially how you do it. We can delete the scene as well by pressing erase and then main, and it'll delete the scene and it'll flash and then it's gone. And so now I'm in scene 8. Right. You can also delete the project that you're in. So let's go to, well, I might as well. It's on lock mode, so I have not lost this. I hope it's on lock mode. I'm sure it is. So if we do main, and then, so if we do erase, main, and then a pattern, then we can, a project, sorry, we can erase that. So this one here, for example, the Flash project, and project 7 will be gone. If we go to this now, nothing there, we can go and make a new song. The other thing that we can do is we can erase a sound. So let's go to 995, right? That was that loop I was showing you earlier. We can erase the sample, not from the project, but from the whole device. If we're on sound mode, we've got it selected, we can hold erase and then sound, and then it'll flash and it's gone. And it's not just, it has gone, right? So be careful that there's no sample there anymore. It has gone. But this is nice, right? You record lots of nonsense and you want to get rid of it. That's the way to do it. Okay, so that was my other tips and tricks. I think a lot of them are very practical. Hopefully you found them useful or interesting. And like I said, please, share your tips and tricks down in the comments below. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you're interested in finding out more. And of course, I've got another video of tips and tricks on the KO2. So please watch that if you've not seen it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.